Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is SidAlpha and welcome to another episode of Is It Worth It? Tonight we're looking at Legends of Eisenwald, a turn-based strategy RPG by Aterdux Entertainment. This game was released on July 2nd and it's actually been a pretty interesting experience. A fair amount of ups and downs as far as gameplay goes, mostly ups however. Before we get into the gameplay itself, let's take a quick look at the options menu. So far in gameplay features, we have a fair amount of standard stuff. We have turn on cascade battle tutorial, turn on automatic saving, which is actually something you're going to want to do because some mistakes made in this game can be catastrophic for you to be able to recover from. Time liturgia. Actually, not quite sure what that one is for. Sort items by usability. That's actually a good thing to have. Show battle grid. Not really particularly necessary. And floating HP numbers in battle. And the video settings. This is also something that is a bit odd. Now, the shadow resolution I actually did bump up prior to launching previous time I launched the game, and somehow it's set way back down at 1024 again. You'll also notice in this graphics option there is no resolution choices. That's actually because there is a load menu where the screen resolution is chosen prior to actually launching into the game. Now that load options menu also does have a few other settings, and it also has built-in settings for loading mods. So obviously this game is going to be, I would guess from the developer, considered modder friendly. We do have anti-aliasing and super sampling. We'll also take a quick look at the sound. Very, very basic. You just have music and sound effects volume. There is no voice option volume slider on here because there are no voiceover in the game whatsoever. This is entirely text-based. There is nobody's voices to be heard. We're going to continue game, and I will try and show you everything to the best of my ability. So here we are. This is actually, I'm not starting you off right at the very beginning because that is the tutorial aspect, and let's face it, tutorials can be a little boring sometimes. This is the second area, which we'll take a quick look on the minimap here. Here's my little icon down here. And this is basically your character's hometown. Launstein up in the upper right hand corner is your castle, and not to spoil too many things, your castle has been taken over by bad guys. And starting off, you do have to quest all along in here to bring all your vassals together prior to assaulting and taking your home back, which can lead to a lot of interesting things and a few frustrations as well. One particular thing you'll note in this map is there is, up here we have show buildings on or off, show armies on or off, show coats of arms, why not, and show descriptions. There is no way to be able to post any waypoints or anything like that on this map. There is also no fast traveling in the game whatsoever. Another thing you'd take a note at is the quests here. Grossenhoff's Mine. This is a perfect example of what I was going to be leading into. So, Grossenhoff's Mine. Quellberg Burgomaster asked you to find out why the production of coal from Grossenhoff's mine has ceased. Turns out Grossenhoff has closed the mine because he is sure that the coal belongs to demons and they take revenge on him for stealing it. It seems that wine damaged Bruno's mind. Find a doctor who knows a good method to cure him. Now, in the conversation dialogues and in the quest itself, there is absolutely no indication whatsoever of where you might go to be able to find a doctor. I've been to this town, Quellberg, also the monasteries, which is somewhere where you'd figure you might find a doctor in medieval townships such as these, this is one of those things where you have little to no information on where to go to complete a great deal of your quests. You will end up traveling around, hitting town after town after town, trying to find what you're looking for because you have no direction whatsoever in the game, which is an interesting thing, which I was a bit curious about. I was wondering, it actually got me thinking, I was wondering whether this was something they just overlooked, didn't put into the game, much as we have seen with a few other newer titles that have come out in the past few years, or if this was something that was deliberately done to make questing a little bit more difficult and force you to explore and familiarize yourself with the territory a great deal more. I'd be interested to find out which that is. However, also one other thing in the this main screen here, you can, this is all the level change you can do, except for zooming in and zooming out. There's also no way to move your viewpoint past where your character is standing. So everything you do is entirely dependent on your character being centered, which can get a little frustrating after a while, especially as there's no pathing or quick travel or no ability to select a location on the map to have your character go there. And so that can be a bit frustrating. So moving on, I will go and find someone to fight in order to give you a brief look at what the combat looks like. That's actually a good guy. We see those deserters up there on the mini-map. We're going to go over this way and see if we can pick on some deserters. Hello, deserters. Now you'll notice they stop moving generally when we do, and down in the lower left hand corner you have the basically the time scale. You have you can start and stop time flow. Now when time flow is stopped, nothing else happens in the world unless you are in motion, which can come in handy. You can also start time flow if you're waiting for someone, and as you can see, that will allow time to progress normally. However, come on, there you go. Yeah, sometimes there is a bit of wonkiness when trying to highlight and select on some things in the world, and not just in the world, in the combat interface as well, that I will go over here with you right now. Oh, this is going to be an easy fight. Okay, so this is your main battle screen. You can hold down your right mouse button, select, and move around however you so choose, which actually shows off in the distance there that they actually have done a fairly beautiful job on the backgrounds in the battle screen. I really do like it. It looks very nice. Ooh. That tree, however, didn't, but oh well. Okay, so we're not going to see some of the bugs that I had noticed, because this is only a two-man company, and typically it only seems to happen when you're dealing with larger groups. In this battle screen, if you have two larger groups going up against each other, I have noticed a decent amount of intermittent frame drops. Now, bear in mind that this game does run natively at 60 FPS, and for the most part it tends to maintain that. However, during some sections of combat, I have seen them drop down to 30 or below when selecting some actions. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go beat up on these guys. Now this is of course turn-based, and you can see your turn order in the left hand side of the screen here. You have your special options or special items across the top. Which, ooh, defensive stance. Not necessarily in this fight, but could be necessary in some larger ones. You have fast battle here, which basically allows you to I actually didn't want to do that. Fast battle allows you to just auto-resolve the combat, which, wow, we really didn't take any damage at all. But we had a guy level up there, so we'll go to that screen, and then I'll find another combat so we can discuss that some more. So this is, you go into your inventory menu, and you have your full inventory down in the lower portion here. This isn't character specific. And then over here you select which character has items. And you'll notice the inventory, it looks like it's changing there. It's actually because it's bringing the most relevant items for that particular character to the top. So, but we have this guy who's ready to level up. Now we do have apparently no way to pay this guy. You can right click on them for a blowout view. Yeah, there's no way for me to just manually pay him so he'll fight for me again, but that's okay. So we have our skill tree for these NPCs, minions. Now these guys are all hired, except for your main character and this guy who I picked up along the way. All the rest of these guys I actually have to pay a daily paycheck to, which is a decent amount of money. But they do level up just like anyone else, and this guy is actually at a branching option. We have on the left side the archer path, and then on the right side the crossbowman path. I already have one of the crossbowmen here, and we also have the upgraded archerman here, so these guys are slightly lower level. So we're actually going to keep him an archer. Yeah. So he went from a level 1 hunter to a level 1 bowman. Then we have an archer, veteran archer, and then archer sergeant. And if you choose the crossbowman path, you have crossbowman, veteran crossbowman, and sergeant crossbowman. I love how sometimes right-clicking on those doesn't do anything. That's interesting. Anyway, so this is basically your main area for everything you control. And you'll notice in these smaller icons, these are built-in equipment that the character comes with. You can upgrade them to better armor, better weapon, and everything like that. But even if you decide to move that better weapon to somebody else, they still have their personal bow or armor set or anything that they can use to fight with, which is actually quite nice. So you have to worry slightly less about managing your inventory for everyone. Okay, we're actually going to pick up the pace there. Let's go fight in a burned out village. Let's see if there's anything in there. There is. Fair amount of guys. Okay, so a few more here. We'll blow this out. So as you can see, we've got some beggars. Come on. Now this is a little trick. I think this might actually be the issue that I was seeing before. Is you can actually select based on the ground tile, also based on the character model itself. Which can get a little dicey unless you're in a... Come on. See, yeah, that's what I mean. I think it's actually... There's something a little wrong there. So hopefully that is something the developers will take a look at, because I think that's probably a fairly minor bug. But it can be quite irritating when you're trying to get your character to actually attack the right opponent. So as you can see in this turn-based game, and you can select based on your decisions on which ways you want to go, you actually cannot just simply move to somewhere. This is the limitation of your choices. Is a left click and fight. And if they can't move and fight, or with exception of a missile opponent, if they can't reach anybody at all, they basically just stand there. because there's nothing else for them to do. We'll have him attack that beggar too. Get rid of him. There we go. And now we have our main character. He'll probably just outright murder that guy. Yep. So as you can see, it does take a little bit of decision making. Okay. So she can heal, so we'll heal him back up. And this is basically the entirety of the combat, choosing how best to whack your opponents without getting whacked on too much yourself. Ooh, healers. Come on, there you go. So overall, this is going to be the majority of time you spend in the game, is downing opponents left and right like this. After a certain while, with especially when you're dealing with larger groups of opponents, you kill so many of them that their morale will break and they will surrender to you. Oh, that guy leveled up as well. They will surrender to you, which will make your life a bit easier. Well, actually, yeah, we'll have him stay as an archer. Give him a better bow. There we go. Okay. So overall, that is the vast majority of the game. I will find, come morning time, I'll see if I can find an NPC to speak with so you can see what the dialogue options are like. Yeah, this is your interface for the dialogue options. It's all text, like I said, text-based, entirely like this. And I would have to say, a little bit of voice acting on top of the text-based would have been a very nice addition and something that I would have most definitely welcomed in this game, as text-based can get a little boring after a while. I know some people like the nostalgic feel to it, but I prefer to have a little bit of the classics mixed with the modern, just to make things nicer. We're actually not going to bother finding that guy. So basically, at first glance, this is the entirety of the mechanics of the game. And I have to say, overall, it's really not a bad game. I am enjoying it a fair amount. There are a couple of glitches and a few bugs that may need to be worked out. I have had a single crash with this game. However, it was unrepeatable. So I'm not sure if that was just a random issue or if it speaks something behind the scenes that might become more prevalent as the game moves along. I honestly would not be able to say offhand. But overall, it's been a pretty decent game, and I would actually recommend it to people if you're a fan of this style of game genre. So, this has been Legends of Eisenwald. Once again, a turn-based strategy RPG by Aterdux or Aterdux Entertainment, depending on which way it's actually supposed to be pronounced. This game is currently $29.99, so basically $30 on Steam or your regional equivalent. It is currently on sale, so you're going to save about $5 if you choose to purchase it sometime between now and the 8th, I believe. And yeah, if you are a fan of this genre, then please do check it out. Support the developer, as I feel they did a pretty good job with what is a good old-fashioned style RPG. And if you like this video, please feel free to take a look at some of my other videos, and don't forget to like, favorite, share, subscribe, and do all those wonderful things, because I am still a fairly small channel and would definitely appreciate your help in getting the word around that I'm out here. Once again, my name is SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.